Hi everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. In today's video, I'm going to share the foundational characteristics of the 5 elements. As I mentioned in prior videos, the 5 elements were developed based on our Earth's neighboring planets. So starting with the wood element, it's based on Jupiter. Jupiter is often described as the guru, which is a wise old teacher. People whose either daily master, so position number 3 in your chart is wood, or they have a balanced wood element in their Bazi chart. They're very generous, compassionate, kind, and giving. And also because Jupiter has a lot of gas around it, right? It's expanding into outwards. So that kind of matches the wood upward growing momentum. So that equates to positivity and being very optimistic. And wood also means a high standard for moral values. The next element is fire. Fire is paired with Mars. So what's the image of this red planet next to us? I often think of it as a military general. So they're very hierarchical. They take orders based on their military ranks. And they like orders, doesn't like chaos. Fire is very driven, a lot of passion behind it. So like a strong shot of energy, which can be quick and restless. And this person can also be assertive and competitive. So the next element is Earth. Earth is paired with Saturn. Saturn, the image is like a very serious and practical person. So Earth element means it's restrictive, it's limiting, it's very inward movement, very opposite from wood's expansive outward or upward movement. So Saturn and the Earth element also have this trait of being very practical, very grounded and hardworking. They're dutiful and super responsible. The fourth element is metal. Metal is paired with Venus. Venus, because it's the owner of Libra. So Libra is this image of a scale, right? Balancing. So metal means it's harmonic. It's very harmony and balance. It likes to compromise rather than running into conflicts. It also, Venus means beauty and material enjoyment. So that person has this personality of very friendly, loving, sympathetic, and just really cherish relationship with others. The last one is water. Water is paired with Mercury. Mercury has this image of a merchant, so it does a lot of business trading and super based on communication skills. So water element has this personality of a very sharp mind, super rational, and have a lot of critical thinking rather than being easily influenced by other people's opinions. And of course, communication, I said earlier, which is like eloquent, have a lot of thoughts, creativity, and mentally flexible. So that's the description of the 5 elements and their corresponding traits. But before I move on this too much, too little column, I think I'm always about why is this useful, right? I will still tie it to the 10 spirits knowledge system for Bazi, because the 10 spirits you can translate into your mindset and brain chemistry, which dictates your behavior and decisions, which impacts your life pattern and life results. So as the 10th spirit, right, let's use discipliner as an example. remember that discipliner is the element suppressing myself. So if my daily master is a wood, my discipliner element will be a metal, because metal suppresses wood. Or for another example, if my own daily master is a water, what suppresses water? Earth, right? So I would have an earth type discipliner. The reason understanding all these 5 elements traits is super helpful is that you can have this fine-tuned differences amongst discipliner. So if I have to use an analogy, it's like watercolor painting. Your first layer is all discipliner for 2 different Bazi chart, but the second layer of coloring, a wood discipliner would have a different color and tone compared to an earth discipliner or like a fire discipliner. So that creates your unique painting for your own Bazi. So keep on using this discipliner 10 spirit as an example. I would say the metal type discipliner, which means my own daily master would be a wood, because metal suppresses wood. If my discipliner is a metal discipliner, that is the strongest type of discipliner traits. So because metal has this righteousness, balance, justice, character, which is very similar tone and color scheme compared to the discipliner 10 spirit. So the metal discipliner is the strongest type of discipliner. The second strongest would be fire discipliner. So in that case, because fire suppresses metal, my daily master would be a metal person. So I have a fire discipliner as a 10 spirit. And that fire discipliner means it mirrors that discipliner's trait of quick, driven, strong impulsion behind it. So that person's secondary coloring for the fire discipliner will be way vibrant and stronger compared to like a third type, which is the water discipliner. Water discipliner take on a different little fine-tuned movements. It's not as the strong, driven, cutting, controlling energy as metal and fire discipline is more taking a turn into this intellectual side. So it's more smart using strategy to achieve a goal. And the least similar to the discipliner would be wood and earth, because wood is more kind, compassionate, I'm super positive, right? That's not the similar coloring tone as the default discipliner characteristics. The same reason with the earth. Earth is very grounded, slow moving, practical. That's not the same color. It's probably the opposite of a color wheel for that discipliner foundational color. So if I were a water, right, my discipliner would be earth. I'm not having as obvious as that discipliner personality in comparison to a person with a more like a metal or a fire discipliner. So that's the practical use of how do you kind of merge the 5 elements traits with the 10 spirit foundational system to fine tune and have a more accurate conclusion about the person's mindset. But then I also wrote down too much or too little. This is when you can tell in your own Bazi analysis, because I shared earlier how to calculate the specific percentage for each element. Nobody has an exact 20% per each element. That's not possible. But how do you define too much versus too little? I would say it's hard to give a specific number, but honestly, if you have an element between 10 to 30%, it's fine. It's kind of balanced. Too much, I will get attention if it's like over 40 or 50% of your element is one particular thing, then it might show the negative traits of that personality. Also, the same thing with too little. If you have something smaller than 5% or maybe 10%, that's something I will call your attention to. I won't go through the details of the traits for if you have an unbalanced particular element, but this is very useful when you're trying to kind of self-diagnose and be self-aware, so you can work on your strengths and develop on your weakness. That's the whole point of understanding and learning astrology. But before I let you go, I also want to say this too much, too little, because remember we have this foundational 8 letters based on our birth time. But what if you run into the scenario that you are lucky, you were born with fairly balanced and you have all 5 elements in your chart? You're like, oh, I'm good. I don't have to worry about all of those potential caution areas. But remember, there's also this annual environmental influence and this 10-year dasha environmental influence. So for example, if your wood was originally between 10 and 30% in your chart, you're good. But what if both the annual heavenly stamp and earthly branches have wood in it, and then on top of it, the 10-year environmental influence also has wood, then that will actually push your default balanced wood into a new unbalanced state. Then that's why we say people change over time throughout their life. And then you can see, oh, my default personalities, I have this trait, but because of those environmental influence from my annual and 10-year impact, I suddenly have too much wood influence on my mindset. So I might find myself being stubborn and not listening to others' advice. And then you can act and course correct accordingly. So yeah, that's a kind of a wrap for today's video, but the 2 main takeaway is you can fine-tune your 10 spirit, which is a very key factor in analyzing Bazi, with that secondary layer of 5 element traits. And the second takeaway is you can use this to tell your unbalanced element and be very self-aware and self-conscious of the potential personality traits or tendencies because of it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.